brakes to avoid hitting the gator yesterday.
So they're using it.
When I was, yeah. They come shooting onto that, where we put the stop sign. Remember? I voted against actually down by the pavilion there.
Yeah.
I was coming home and here I see this green blaze go by and I pressed at the brake and the gator, two guys riding, you know. I don't know if it was the city one. I couldn't see if they were city guys on it.
It's the only one around that I know
That's
of.
what in town, the only one that anyone would dare drive in town, I would think.
Oh, yeah, but unless it's licensed.
Yeah. Were they wearing their safety vests?
I don't think so.
It's getting worse all the time. Isn't it?
The ocean standards.
No, there were
coming
no
out.
bright colors. They both had dark colors on us. Maybe
It was probably poachers.
Maybe it was a camper.
That sounds good.
I was thinking, gee, maybe that wasn't such a
Mike?
good idea to buy that for him.
Guess I never paid attention. Is the fire department gator green?
It always
Yeah,
has
I
been.
would never
Yeah.
repainted it. Okay.
Drove by my house yesterday with a couple of our finest down there.
They are getting used.
We were hearing about that.
It's just like, hey, I'm gonna give you a toy. You think you might need it? Sure, we can put it to use. So the boys are all driving around with Grandpa's back.
Well, they got the throttle part of it down good.
Yeah, it's been in mothballs a while. I'm sure they want to get the protein
You
oil.
burn the carbon and the old
it's like-
fuel out of it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right, we will get started.
This party started here. Rock and roll.
I'll call this meeting in order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, all council members are present. We had an agenda that was presented in your packet. They do have one additional thing to add under unfinished business. We'll add item B for our 4th Street update. Keith will give us that. Is there anything else to add to the agenda, staff? No? Is there a motion to approve the agenda with that item B addition?
So moved.
Motion by Warren, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. We'll move on to the approval of our minutes from the April 17th meeting. Is there any additions or corrections or changes to the minutes as presented? None? That looked good to me. Hearing that, is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Dave, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Keith. Any discussion? Call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. At this time is our public open forum. Is there anybody here who wishes to address the council? Anybody wish? Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Andrea Kerfeld. I'm the Chamber Director in Sauk Center, and I have been made aware of a meeting that you guys are having on the 29th of this month to talk about some strategic planning or some visionary planning for the next 5 to 10 years for Sauk Center. And I would just like to encourage the council to get as much input from both the community, the business community, and different organizations in Sauk Center to go along with that meeting. Is this microphone quick?
Yeah.
You're on. Yeah.
But
Okay, I'll just try to talk a little.
Yeah, and then we'll get some batters. So go ahead, Keith.
Okay. As far as the business community, I feel like we have a new generation of business owners taking over in Sauk Center, people taking over their parents' businesses, younger people, that they are very much going to be a part of Sauk Center's future and where Sauk Center is going to be going. I think they could provide some insight into what they're looking for from the city, what they need, to succeed in their businesses and to help them grow. That would be something the chamber would be willing to help, facilitate if we wanted to do some focus group things with a couple council members or whatever. But I just would encourage the council to try to get as much input from the community and the organizations that affect the community so that that vision that you guys put together is cumulative and everybody's interest and future is taken into consideration. So, anybody have any questions?
No, just a couple thoughts on that is this is our very first kickoff meeting, so to speak, and I would anticipate as we continue down that road, we will have additional meetings and get additional input from the community, from the chamber, and from others. So, but yes, we will keep everybody in the loop and engaged as much as we certainly can.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments? Anybody else wish to address the council? Any others? Seeing none, we will move on through our agenda. We have no public hearings this evening. Reports and presentations, the ambulance department quarterly report. Kathy.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm here with the report of activities for the first quarter for the ambulance. In your packets, you'll find your activity sheets. In January, we were paged out 45 times, so this is up from 41 in January of last year, but it is down from the 54 we had paged out in 2011. But of the 45 pages in January of this year, 7 of those were for ALS transfers, 7 were for BLS transfers, so we had 36 scene responses in January. And of those 36, 5 of those were no loads or canceled calls. And we billed out $39,875.80 in January of this year. In February, we were paged out 52 times, which is up from 45 in February of last year. We had 50 in 2011, so we're up a little bit in February. Of the 52 pages in February of this year, 11 of those were for the ALS, or Advanced Life Support transfers. 5 were for basic life support transfers, and we had 36 scene response requests. And of those 36 scene responses, 6 were no loads or canceled calls, and we billed out $47,772.50. In March of this year, we were paged out 55 times, and that's up from 45 last year, and way up from the 30 we were paged out in March of 2011. And of the 55 pages that we were paged out for March of this year, 9 of those were for the advanced life support transfers, 8 were for basic life support transfers. So we had a total of 38 scene response requests, and of those 38, 13 of those were no loads or canceled calls. We had some car crashes in March that we didn't transfer on. So we billed out $43,216.60 in March. Our 152 pages this year so far, in January through March. We have reasons for our cancel or no loads, include the car crashes, breathing problems, falls, chest pains, seizures, fainting, choking, medical alarms. We had a canceled transfer. We have unknown or unconscious. We had 1 DOA, smoke inhalation, overdoses. We had a couple standbys for fire and a gas leak. So those are ones where people call in reporting someone choking or with chest pain, and we get there and the patient refuses to go in with us. For our ALS transfers, the majority you can see go to the St. Cloud Hospital, and we've had a few others scattered in there: Abbott Northwest, Minneapolis Children's Hospital, St. John's Hospital. BLS transfers, also the majority go to St. Cloud Hospital. We have a few to Douglas County, Lake Regions in Fergus Falls, St. Cloud Detox, University of Minnesota, and then 1 hospice to home transfer. Scene responses, when we respond to the scene, the hospital we take them to the most, of course, is St. Michael's here, or correction, Centra Care in Sauk Center. Douglas County, we've transported to from the scene if we're out by the West Union area, and Long Prairie. From Little Sauk area, we went to that hospital one time, and then Melrose one time directly from the scene. And we had one mutual aid request from Lifelink to meet them at the Sauk Center Airport and then transport their patient to St. Cloud for them when they had chopper problems. So they landed at our airport. Scene responses, I didn't get that in your packet. We were in the first quarter, we've been into Todd County 5 times, twice to West Union Township, once to Little Sauk Township, and twice to Birchdale Township. We've been into Pope County 1 time. We just have a real small service area to Pope County. We've been there 1 time so far this year in Westport Township. We've been to Ashley Township 3 times, Getty Township 3 times, Lake George Township 2 times, Raymond Township 2 scene responses, 1 time to the city of El Rosa, 6 Sauk Center Township responses, and 55 within the city of Sauk Center responses. And I included our call times, peak call times, which for the first quarter, we had 3 spikes, one from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., and then another spike at 3 in the afternoon until 4 in the afternoon, and then another spike at 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. So those were our, the highest call volume for time of day. And by time of the day of the week, Thursday and Friday were the highest call days, followed closely by Saturday and Monday, but Thursday and Friday were the highest. Our age brackets, 0 to 14 years, we had 7 patients. Age 15 to 18 years of age, we had 5 patients. 19 to 29, 11 patients. 30 to 44 years of age, 9 patients. And then 45 to 64 years of age, 32 of our patients were in that age bracket. And 79 of our patients were 85 years of age and older. And then I included a graph for the number of falls we have responded to, since that is one of our highest call requests. So you can see 65 and up age bracket was 37 of our calls for falls in that age bracket. Any other questions on our report?
Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Can you put all this, thank you for the numbers, by the way, I appreciate that. And, but I'm a little confused. Can you put this into some context about what this all means in regards to our ambulance service? We know you're busy. Mm-hmm. How does that relate to, say, other ambulance services of like-sized communities? Also, have you looked at the Affordable Care Act that's coming into play? How is that going to be affecting our ambulance service and our ability to pay for that? So, again, I appreciate the numbers, but they really don't tell me anything. Can you paint more of a picture about our ambulance service?
Well, we're a volunteer service, so all these people are responding usually from home or their work. Compared to cities of the same size, it just depends on the population. Like, for example, Melrose we like to compare ourselves with Melrose, but they go on more calls than us because they have the city of Albany in their service area, so they get paged over to Albany quite a bit. Other than like for Melrose and Paynesville, which are kind of comparable to us, we're pretty average within the call range with them. We're all in the under 500 a year bracket, right around between 450 actual calls that we respond to and bill out for the year or transport.
So you're not quite sure, is what I'm hearing. How about the aspect of age? I'm hearing a lot of your calls having to do with people 40 and up. Mm-hmm. And it brings to my mind the fact of our population in this community is getting older.
Right. We have several assisted living facilities.
And the likelihood is that it's going to increase to age. What kind of impact is that going to have on our ambulance service in regards to equipment and that kind of thing? I mean, what do you see in regards to the aging population and its impact on what you do?
An increase of calls and the need to keep our equipment updated on a regular basis.
Do do you have an idea of what kind of equipment we're talking about? Is that, are we looking, I mean, from our vantage point, we're trying to look down the road to say 5 years from now, where does our ambulance service need to be? Are we going to need to be in our capital improvement plan, because we'll be going into budget? Do we need to start purchasing equipment that's going to reflect the needs of our community moving forward? Those are the kind of things, and I don't expect you to have that right now, because I'm kind of popping this on you. But when you bring these reports to us, that's kind of information that I want to see. I appreciate the numbers. I know that you're busy, but what I don't have is a context, in the sense of a community like ours with a volunteer effort that goes on. Volunteer, but we do pay people to make these trips. So they're paid staff.
Right.
Right. Okay. So they're not volunteer. They're paid, right?
Right. They're paid volunteers.
Okay. Thank you. Paid volunteers. That's like military intelligence. It's an oxymoron, I think.
It's a classification.
It is actually.
Okay. Well, in my mind, it's a strange thing. Anyways,
We don't get paid full benefit or full wages for each hour.
But my point being here is that help us better understand the needs of the ambulance service as we move forward and where we need to be in 5 years. We know you're busy now, but I think personally what I'm concerned about is how do we maintain to make sure that we provide what you need down the road from that. That's my issue with this. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Anything else?
Any other questions? Certainly, I've always looked at these reports, and I appreciate, Kathy, you putting them together and bringing them in for us, and I think it's valuable information, and the needs of I'm assuming that we're meeting the needs of our elderly population today as we're taking care of them, and you'll continue to be looking at your equipment needs as we go forward, and I appreciate that.
Right,
So,
we do deal with a lot of that in our budget meetings for the year, too.
Right.
So.
And then I know you also look at the needs of equipment, because I know we've had a lot of discussion about ambulance needs over the years and how many we should have and how many runs they go on and all of that information during our budgeting time. So I think we'll get some of that at that time.
So are you saying we really don't need these reports quarterly, or we can deal with it in budget?
I think we have these reports quarterly, and if
Okay.
she wants to expand upon what you're asking for your personal, interest in the communities, that's of
I think
merit
you
as
gotta lean
well.
on the recommendation of your operations committees too, because we do meet with these people and know their needs.
Again, I have no problem with it, but I mean, as we sit here as a council and we get these, I'm sitting here thinking, what should I do with this information? We get, our police do the same thing, and I appreciate that information. I'm at a situation where, what am I supposed to do with it? Is it this is a point in time where don't bother with it, let it go because the operations will deal with it? Or as a council person, and I would hope the rest of the council is taking this in and saying, okay, what does this mean for us? That's my whole point.
I think as a council person, and as I do, I look at all these, and then when I have questions, I contact the department heads, I contact administration, I go and help try to answer some of my questions as well. So that's another option that we have.
And I think that for you and I, that's a difference that we have, and that I think that's what these meetings are about. That's what we have an open forum meeting for, is to have a discussion, not to go and have private individual conversations with department heads and have these answered. This is what an open meeting is about, and that's my point with this, not to me to go run down.
Okay, back to the ambulance. Thank you, Kathy, for your
Thank you.
report. I appreciate it. We're going to move on to the EDA report.
The EDA met today in their regular session. They had conversations on several different projects that we're working on. We're actually working on 4 different active business expansion and retention projects. One of those is at the point now where we have had meetings with them. They have actually submitted a letter of request, which we have since countered to them. So it's right at that time frame right now where we're working on that. I think that one thing we do recognize at the EDA level is that the economic or the manufacturing side of Sauk Center, we're seeing expansion, we're seeing additions, we're seeing different businesses making a lot of inquiries. We've had inquiries in the office regarding the manufacturing side, and as you know, once that manufacturing is established, that then follows that the jobs, and follows that the retail, follows that the housing. So we're seeing that as a good sign. I'm hopeful that we'll have a lot of activity at the council level in regards to the EDA in the coming months as we put this project to finalization. I can't give you a lot of details right now, I'm sorry to say. However, it was very positive. I thought we had a very good meeting today. I don't know if Dave or Brad, you were there, Keith, you were there. If you have something you want to add, we kind of focused it right around those projects that we're working on and kind of brainstormed some other ones. So if anybody has any specific questions, I'll answer what I can. However, in the interest of confidence in the project, I can't give a lot of details at this point.
I've got a question.
Sure.
I was reading the minutes from the last EDA meeting, and something struck me there that I wanted to get some clarification on. And that had to do with, we had talked about the Unger property as a industrial park. In the meeting minutes, there was a talk of shifting it to retail. Can someone elaborate a little more on what's going on with that particular direction?
I had what that referred to was I had an inquiry in the office regarding a project, or it was actually a commercial real estate developer that had looked at that property, and they were suggesting that perhaps that could be utilized as a hotel property or something, and that type of thing. But the other thing that we were talking about is we were looking at it as manufacturing type business, which gives the city a lot of tools in economic development, and if it switches to retail, we don't have those same tools. There was the hotel idea that he had done, and we also had the suggestion of a business that, like an implement dealer type business being in that location, which now becomes retail versus manufacturing, and it limits our ability as a city to assist a retail versus a manufacturing job. I think that's what the inclination was in the meeting, if I recall that conversation last month. So that's, that's what that had to do with.
And it got me looking more at the EDA and its direction. And one of the things that kind of struck me that I think is worth reiterating here is that in the original resolution to establish the EDA, it talked about that the actions and authority of the EDA must be in consistence with the adopted comprehensive city plan, which I was pointed out last time is still maybe old, but it's still in effect. And in that, it also talks about that the downtown is our main retail area, and that anything in that particular area in the highway zone must be limited. So I look forward to hearing more about the EDA and how they're supporting the current comprehensive plan as part of their charter. Thank you.
Any other questions of the EDA report? All right, thank you, Vicki. We have a very short action item ahead of us this evening. We have two items. Action item 7A is to accept the EMT resignation. Vicki?
Yeah. We have two EMTs that are resigning from the Sauk Center Ambulance Service. Mike Bowles has submitted his resignation effective March 31st. He has been with the city since January 23rd of 1989. And the second person to resign from the ambulance service is Joe Weir. That is effective April 10th. She's been with the city since June 5th, 2004. And so the request of the City Council tonight is to accept the resignations of Mike Bowles and Joe Weir.
Any questions of staff? Is there a motion to accept the resignations of Mike Bowles and Joe Weir?
I will make a motion that we accept the resignation with great thanks.
Got a motion by Keith. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dave. And I would also like to note, as Vicki, you had mentioned, many years of service provided by these folks. And again, we have our sincere thank you to them for their time and commitment. With that, no further discussion. I'll call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. Moving on to B, approve resolution 2013-25, authorizing purchase of tax forfeit land. Vicki.
Over the past year, and this has come to the council as a Parks Board report, but not an action item in the past, that we've been working on securing a tax forfeit lot to develop as a sledding hill near the outdoor rink and the warming house. The city currently actually owns the property encircling this parcel. Prior discussions at the city level was that we had the opportunity to purchase it for $1,000. I had countered it that they should just deed it to us for $1. They came back with $500. So they have agreed to transfer it for that price. This would defray their holding costs, deed prep, fees to the state, etc. So the proposal is for the lot to be developed with city staff removing trees and stumps and grading the site to provide a smooth surface. As I said, it's near the warming house. It has ample parking, etc. I do have maps in the packet for you to look at. There's trees and there's some grading and there's some things that will have to occur that we believe we can handle with city staff in time when we have available time. We am asking to approve Resolution 2013-25, authorizing the purchase of the tax forfeit lot for sledding hill purposes.
Any questions? None? Is there then a motion to approve Resolution 2013-25, authorizing the purchase of the tax forfeit lot for future sledding hill?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Warren, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any discussion?
Will this be considered a park?
Yes, I imagine it would be considered a park.
Okay.
It would just be part of that whole complex down there,
Okay.
where we have the outdoor skating and the sledding hill will just be a part of it, yeah.
Yeah.
It would be covered under an insurance as part of the park system.
That's kind of what it's...
I guess we probably will have to officially designate it as a park when it becomes ours, just...
Right, Vicki, you'll check into the liability.
I don't think there's a specific designation, but, you know, we'll list it on our insurance as one of our parks. So that was kind of a concern that some people had about using it as a sledding hill.
All right. Any other questions? Is there then we have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2013-25. I'll call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. All right, we'll move on to our unfinished business. 8A, technology update.
I just wanted to give you a little update. At the last council meeting, we talked about, you know, YouTube, Facebook, all kinds, about the city perhaps producing our own council meeting, taping them, et cetera. We did try the YouTube. We did have to have Arvig produce the video in an alternate format. Then they brought it over. We tried to upload it, and because of the speed of our internet and our hardware, it would have taken 41 hours to upload it. And so he took it back to Arvig and uploaded it straight from their site. And they have agreed to continue to do that for us at this point, and they'll upload it, and then they contact us, and Nikki then goes in and tags it and puts all the things on it so that people can view it, etc. So at the current time, you can either go on the internet and you can just Google for it, or you can go onto our website, and there's a link straight to the city council meeting. So now people can watch it at any time at their convenience. I've started the process of checking out, you know, what it would cost if the city were to purchase equipment, what it would cost in staff time, what we'd have to upgrade our computer, our internet, different things like that, if we were to do that so we could do other meetings as well. I don't have those final numbers yet. But it was a good try to put the existing city council meeting up. We discovered what our shortfalls are there. As long as we have Arvig taping the meeting, they've agreed to produce it and upload it for ourselves under the same contract with no additional fee. If we make some changes to the contract, then we'll have to discuss that as well, as how we'll move forward on that. Of course, that just does the council meetings. It doesn't do the other meetings. So that's still something that's in the works. But I just wanted to let you know that, and I know I sent you out the email that it's online, but we found some shortcomings. We'll work around those and come back with some kind of a recommendation at a future meeting.
Okay, very good. Well, I did go through the link just to see that it was working, and it did, and I watched it online. So it was great to see that. Is there any questions in regards to the technology update? No? All right, we'll move on then to the 4th Street update. Keith?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Well, welcome to construction season 2013. It has arrived. We weren't sure it was ever going to get here, but it did finally arrive. I'd be remiss, actually, if I didn't start with kind of a safety reminder for the public listening. There is active construction going on south of Oak Street on Getty and 5th Street. Please make sure that you're mindful. The roadways are temporary surfaces. Be careful as you drive through. Be careful around the construction equipment. Certainly children, please watch them, be mindful of them, keep them away from the construction traffic for everybody's safety. So with that said, we'll start kind of where things are at. We're off to actually a pretty good start so far, as you've probably noticed. Between the two townhomes here, townhome complexes, I guess I should say, the sewer and the water and the storm sewer are already placed through those, so that was a good sigh of relief to get through that without any real major challenges, so we got through there. The water now is down all the way to 6th Street on the north-south and as well as on 5th Street. There's temporary water that's been installed for all those folks, and that will continue as they move to the south. So that's kind of about where they're at the moment. You've seen at 5th Street and down to 6th Street, the pavement has been removed and there's a temporary surface there, and that's being watched and minded and stuff to make sure it's in drivable condition at night and where there's not active activity going on. So they'll just kind of continue on as we go through the water. We'll start seeing the sanitary and the storm sewer follow behind. Some of those manholes and pipes and things, or you've seen some of that already probably sitting out there. And once again, that's another safety reminder. Some of those things can move. It's always careful for the public to stay away from that materials and equipment as you're out there. So is there any specific questions that I can address for any of the council?
What is the total work days for 2013's construction?
They have until, I don't have that number off the top of my head, I'm sorry, I wish I did. I can tell you what their intention is to hopefully be done by the end of June. That is their scheduled intention to be done roughly the end of June, might maybe go into the early July, but that's about when we should be complete with the job. Okay. So in terms of last year's project, it'll be a couple weeks yet. We need to let things warm up and make sure the frost is all out before. It'll probably be about 2 weeks before they start coming back and doing the restoration, that final restoration and things on that first phase of the project. So you will start to see those things get buttoned up on that first phase as well.
Will they be doing the final lift of tar on that last year's project before they do any of it on this side, or are they going to wait and bring the machines in one time and do it?
Probably do the whole thing. They'll probably do the second lift on this and the first lift on that all at the same time. So it'd be in that late June time frame.
Okay.
Depending on if someone's looking for work, it's possible that they'd come in and do it earlier. I'm not aware that anyone's talked about that schedule at this point in time.
Okay. I was just brought up a question on that because I think at the pre-construction meeting that I was at, I thought Riley's had mentioned they were coming in by the end of May to have that second lift on and the parking lot.
Yeah, they could have been. It's possible. I will check on that and verify that for you.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be at that meeting, so I didn't hear that. So.
Okay.
Maybe you can clarify something for me. The other day I heard the transportation coordinator for the school district mention that the contractor gave them a call regarding the fact that the street was going to be tore up and that was going to affect. And I asked him if that was something would happen to him, as a matter of course, and he said no. How does that work? It just seemed to me that would be something that we would be notifying, organizations within our area that are going to be drastically affected, the school being one of them, and that. Is that something that...
And we did initially, and it's possible it slipped through the cracks for this particular, or has that been? Dan did talk to him, yeah.
So this was, okay.
Yeah.
But is that a matter of course that we do that?
Yep,
And this
yep.
time it just,
Yeah.
okay.
We always, certainly,
Okay.
we always do, for schools as well as emergency vehicles, make sure
Okay,
they
great.
understand so they can get around make alternate provisions as needed.
All right,
So
thank you.
every now and then, we might miss something, but we try to hit those every time.
I don't know, it just struck me as odd that we wouldn't do that, and from his vantage point, he said no, and so, but it sounds like we do, so that answers my question.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you very much.
Sounds good. Anything else?
Any other questions?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have no new business. We do have our consent agenda this evening. We have 3 items on there for a schedule of claims for unpaid claims of $72,399.88, paid claims of $1,121.12, for a total of $73,521. We also have a request from Mustang Bar for a temporary extension of the premise permit for a dueling DJ's party on May 18th of 2013. And our third thing is the gambling application for exempt permit request from the Lions Club for the raffle and pull tabs for the Stearns County Fairgrounds, August 1st to the 4th. Any questions in regards to the consent agenda items? None. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion by Keith, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dave. Any discussion? I'll call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. 5 in favor, 1 against. Moving on then to our informational items. Got several things that we got going on. Vicki, I'll let you outline them.
Okay. The first item is Officer Von Walde. He is scheduled for a step. I'll just read the excerpt that Chief Fredericks provided as a part of his performance review. He says, Officer Von Walde was appointed to the full-time position on August 6, 2008. He has done an excellent job from the time of his last performance evaluation on 12/1/11. Von Walde is always willing to learn and take on more training. He does a great job with traffic enforcement. He uses good common sense in the field, and he's really stepped up as a leader when it comes to working and being successful with getting convictions on investigation cases he is assigned to. Because of Officer Von Walde's commitment to doing investigations, I sent him to a corner house child sex abuse forensic interview training, which he is very deserving of. Officer Von Walde is a team player when it comes to working with others in the department. He makes it a point to remember people's names in the community, which makes him very well liked. I've heard many favorable comments about Dusty from the public and officers he works with. He shows great enthusiasm for the job and is very self-motivated. Keep up the good work. The officers are part of a bargaining unit, and so they're not merit-based, but we still do the performance reviews. And so that's why I wanted to include that in your packet. According to the bargaining unit contract, he will advance to step 6, which is $24.94, effective May 15th, 2013. So that's an informational item. The second informational item that I had is the Middle Sauk Water Festival is May 16th, 9:25 to 1:45 at Sinclair Lewis Park. I know that they do ask for volunteers. I know, Dave, you volunteered in the past to help with the youth down there. In the event of inclement weather, it's held at the ice arena. And actually, the last couple of years, we've had to schedule it at the ice arena because of the weather. We switch off every other year with Melrose hosting the event, but we get it by default when it has to be due to weather. The third item on the informational is the Board of Review. That's Board of Equalization and Review, which is here Monday, May 6th at 1 p.m. And typically we get done in about a half an hour to 45 minutes. The county assessor will be here for anybody to come in and talk about their particular property. And if there's any adjustments to be made, then the city council, of course, would be able to make those adjustments at that time. And I know several of you are trained with that training, and I need to have at least one of you present at that meeting. I do need to have at least 3 of you at the meeting because it is an official meeting of the council. And the last item I have is a letter from our loss control visit. As you know, we buy insurance from the League of Minnesota Cities. Every year they come through the city, and one year they may inspect buildings, one year they may investigate policies, etc. They did go through looking at public works this year. Most of it was for slip, trip, and fall type activities. They did find 2 things that they wanted to look at, although we had very good comments in his conclusion about all the safety protocol we have in place. They did ask that we put a railing on the stairway that goes up to the parts room. It's a half wall right now, and he said there's really nothing to grab onto if you're going to slip, so we have installed the railing since that time. The other thing that he's looking at is some kind of, it's called a glass buddy, but it's kind of a power grip to grip the glass panels at the ice arena when we take the panels in, the boards at the ice arena, I should say. And so he is recommending that the city consider applying for an OSHA grant to get some lifting equipment to do that. And those panels get quite heavy, and the guys have a process that they use to put those up and down, but this is something that is more of a strain relief type tool. And so, of course, the League of Minnesota Cities, being our risk advisory person, you know, they always try to keep us apprised of those. But we had a very good review, and so we continue to get better reviews every year. So we must have almost everything fixed by now, I'm pretty sure. So, other than that, I have nothing else.
I guess the only thing I would, if I could add something to this, those OSHA grants, we have to keep in mind those are matching grants.
I understand that.
Yeah, so whatever we get from them, we'd have to spend like,
Correct.
we're broke. I'm only kidding. Just so that people are aware of that, so.
There is hesitation always in any city, is that when you apply for an OSHA grant, then you set yourself up for an OSHA meeting.
Well, you're actually, if you're instituting that to, no, that's the mock survey. That's the mock survey. And you're exempt from any penalties imposed.
Yeah.
For a certain.
But they wouldn't be, you know, there's always a concern that it kind of puts you on their radar.
You know,
I don't know that if I agree with that or not. I guess I haven't seen it one way or another, but.
Yeah, I think it does.
You think it does?
All right. Any other comments?
I was just going to see if we know who's going to be able to be here on Monday.
I was planning on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be here.
I will not be. I'll be out of town.
All right, so looks like we got 4. I just wanted to give you a heads up on who to expect, so, all right.
What happens if we did not happen to have a quorum? They can still meet with the assessor, and then it has to come back for action at the council meeting.
That has happened.
And that has happened in the past.
But don't we lose our right to review?
You can. If you give it, you can give it over to the county, but then you can't get it back for a period of years.
Right.
That's what happens.
So we will have a quorum on Monday for that meeting. Any other comments? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion by Keith, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Warren. Call the motion, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.